Hey everybody, this is Tom with the Board Gamer. Today we're going to do a quick overview and review for this game. If you want the full how-to, go ahead and click this icon up here or the link in the description. Now let's get into it. The basic overview of Calico has players taking turns placing tiles on their quilt board in order to complete goals and or collect cats and buttons by matching patterns and or colors. And once all boards are complete, the game ends and the player with the most points wins. Calico is one of the best group games you play by yourself. I kid. But seriously, Calico is a fun game that really has each player laser focused on their own board. However, the shared atmosphere of the stress and joy when attempting to complete a goal and finally succeeding is shared no matter which player accomplishes it, or in some cases did not accomplish. Calico is very rewarding, especially when you are able to lure a cat or button to your quilt, but very punishing with only 2 tiles to choose from each turn. But enough cat and mouse. Let's take a look inside this box and see if Calico is a me-wow or a meow game. The components for Calico are mainly cardboard. The cardboard is very thick and durable. The tiles are fairly easy to tell apart and fit nicely onto the quilt board. The cat tokens and buttons are made of that same cardboard. And, fun fact, the cats in the game are modeled after real cats that you can read all about in the back of the rulebook. But back to the game. Things are made well, including the bag you use to shuffle your tiles, making this a game that can travel pretty well and handle younger players. Speaking of younger players, this game is fairly easy to play. You really only have 2 things to do each turn. Play one of your 2 tiles from your hand and collect a new one from the market. That's it. Making this a game you can pick up and play with little to no issue. But scoring points, on the other hand, can be a bit challenging. When the game starts, you are open to strategize or just play tiles however you like. But as the game goes on, you are left with a difficult decision on how you want to score. Luckily, you have options that always make scoring pretty close. You can go for design tiles, cat tokens, or button tokens. Or, if you're feeling lucky, try for a combination of all 3. Calico, in my opinion, is 50% luck and 50% strategy. The strategy of the game is more just about managing your luck. What I mean by that is every tile you play with the intent you will likely also play a tile you don't need just to get it out of your hand. And as for planning ahead, depending on the number of players you have, by the time your turn comes around again, the market tiles might be totally different, or even worse, only one has changed since everyone else is taking the new tile instead of the other 2 that won't help anyone. In scenarios like that, I wish there was a way to reset the market. But since there is not, you can either go with the flow or try and strategize around it. Sometimes you can get lucky with a throwaway tile you placed earlier in the game, and sometimes you won't. But that's just the nature of Calico. Every time I pick up Calico, I think, we should play this more. For a relatively quick tile laying game, it works well. But what starts out as a relaxing game quickly turns stressful as the game goes on when choosing where to place a tile shrinks. Another thing I'm not the biggest fan of is I feel as though I'm playing against the game more than my opponents, except when they take the tile that I wanted from the market. But when they do that, it's never usually malicious. We all just have limited options in what we can get and are all trying to make the best choice based on our quilt boards. The things I've said so far are why I would choose to play a different game. But I would and continue to play Calico because through the stressful turns and past the lack of player interaction, I had fun. Since it only really mattered what I did for my quilt, I was able to follow along with the relatable emotions that my friends were having trying to figure out the best tile to play each turn. And we were able to celebrate all together when any of us collected a cat token or button. So with those feelings I get every time we play, I can confidently say Calico has a fair replayability value to me. I found Calico to be a very relaxing experience that quickly turned into a very stressful one. You start each game with an open board and so many possibilities. But as the game goes on, your options slowly begin to decrease until you really have no options and just have to play the tile in your hand whether you like it or not. The game was fun and I will continue to play it. But if you want to just sit back and relax, this might not be the game for you. Also, if you suffer from analysis paralysis, this feeling of dread will only multiply. But if you enjoy getting yourself out of tight situations, or just don't worry too much about it, Calico can work. It's more of a single player game due to the lack of player interaction, but it is fun to see your opponents sweat on their turns just like you did on yours. As for the theme, I'll be honest, I came here for the cats, not the quilts. It does work though, adding patches to a quilt with patterns you just happen to have, along with the cats only coming around when things match their preferences. I did miss the player interaction, but did feel satisfied with the game as a whole. Calico may not be the best group game, but sometimes it's okay to just play a game in the same room instead of against each other on the same board. This board gamer says, not boring, but can feel the same in both solo and group play. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell to get notified about new videos. If you're bored now, click this for more games.